I'm kind of like I think people like Michael Jackson. I'm kind of a unique kind of character.
And I have
Yeah,
the
analytics
sense
are
of,
like,
like,
right.
And I love to
You just see how games and possessions
Safe to say
are more
that other
intense,
people perform
how they
very well
mean
for
more.
that.
Right?
I'm not
And
putting him on.
I think the U.S. is going to obviously win.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Nothing But Respect. Before we get going, I just want to say that I had a whole intro written in Flemish, and I was working on my pronunciations because I thought that Yax Soprana was Belgian until last night when I read his Wikipedia and learned that he is not. But with a name like that, I think no one can get mad at me. I'm joined, as always, by Harry Krinsky and returning champion David J. Roth. David, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? You know, one of the things that people don't want you to know, and that the liberal media has covered up for entirely too long about Yax Soprana is he spent a lot of his youth in Pennsauken, New Jersey.
Wow. Is that Taylor ham or pork roll country?
You know what? Honestly, I should have been able to anticipate that, and I totally don't know. My instinct is that is pork roll country, but that's just like any place I haven't been. I'm like, oh yeah, they do it different down there.
The other crazy thing about Yax Soprana is he's 4 years older than Jason Tatum, which is like crazy.
Remarkable.
Yeah. It's
Yep, South Jersey, pork roll, confirmed.
That's what it's all about.
All right.
We had Papo on last week for some Jersey takes, and so we just wanted to sort of keep that going. We're really trying to corner the market on New Jersey basketball opinion. So if you have any of those you want to share, we just want to get right into it.
So I really enjoyed his Nets like all-time five. I thought that it was beyond the fact that, like I agreed with a lot of it. It was, as somebody who followed that stupid franchise for my entire youth, it was like I could look at that list and be like, he is 33 years old. Like there's just, you could instantly date it back because if he's any older than that, he's got some like Drazen Petrovic thoughts, or he was like, Sam Cassell was there for 1 year. That was really cool. But no, it's just sort of this man remembers Keith Van Horn the way that he remembers like a beloved uncle figure from his youth. And I think that's super.
Yeah, that is such a good point. Like, I saw someone use a Derek Coleman comp for one of the draft guys, and I thought, like, that's great. Would love to know more about that. Not
Right.
really sure who that guy is.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with draft writing in general, is that like there's a lot of opacity to it in general. Like somehow the language has become really degraded in it. But then also at some point, like your job is comparing a guy to another guy. And we've for many years laughed about this in Slack, where it's like you got to do it. There's 50 guys that you have to write about every year, and there's not 50 coherent things to say about all of those guys. And so you wind up with, people being like, it's like, what if like Kyle Korver had a neck tattoo? And you're like, well, that doesn't help me evaluate the dude at all. Like, it's just like, this is what you're thinking as you're watching him play.
It's like, what if Devin Harris got really into the Masterclass series? Like,
yeah, right.
that guy sounds cool.
He's kind of like a Belgian DeJuan Blair, if you're familiar with.
these are you guys are laughing, and it's because you guys are too in it. Like I'm hearing that, and I'm like, though, this is helpful. I do need to know if he's Belgian. DeJuan Blair.
Weirdly, the thing where someone is described as like a European and then like American basketball player, that actually is kind of legible to me, even though like I don't know what would be like noticeably different about a version of, whatever, like TJ Warren that was born in Portugal.
Right.
Like, what is that? I don't, that doesn't like color it, but to a certain extent, I can imagine it in my mind.
I mean,
it's
good, yeah.
It's funny you say this. One of the draft guys I follow was comparing Ade Mara to Paella Donovan Klingon, which like I feel like is very, very illustrative.
Yep.
What I was going to say similar is the one that's still cringing through my head from last year that our lawyer Ox Portello discussed, which is of course Israeli D'Angelo Russell.
Yep.
Really,
like in its way, that's like meaner than some of the like tweets, like the slander tweets that people used to do, where they would call like, who is it, like Ben Simmons they called Tall Rondo.
Yeah,
it was Rajon Rondo with Wi-Fi.
Rajon Rondo with Wi-Fi. Or like Tall Ramon Sessions maybe was one that was like. But that is like not different than being like the Israeli D'Angelo Russell,
right? Except it meant it as a compliment, or like at least a kind of like neutral comp.
I do want to get into Danny Chow had an amazing one for one of the top 10 guys that I want to get into. But we're having you on because ain't shit happening really in the NBA, but March Madness just finished up. We had big clean sweep of Big Ten mainstays, of course. UCLA, who can forget, School of the Heartland and the Fruited Plains winning the women's tournament. And then, of course, the alma mater of my co-host, Michigan, beat Dan Hurley's ass in the final.
Did you watch Michigan much this year, Harry?
I really didn't. I kind of tuned in when what happened actually was, and it's a kind of great bookend, is when the season started. 'Cause I really don't watch too much college basketball. When the season started, my brother texted me and he's like, Michigan is beating every team by 30. Like we like beat Gonzaga by like 140 to start the season. And I was like, oh, that's cool. We'll see. And then I tuned out, watched us lose to Duke. And I was like, okay, we don't have the juice. And then went for the tournament and we were just the biggest, baddest, meanest team, clearly in the tournament. And so it was fun. It was kind of a great low stakes run for me.
I think that's like an ideal way to consume college basketball, or at least as you when you get older enough to have discretion in terms of how much basketball intake there is in your life. I think there was a time where, I was watching college basketball because it was I would just watch everything that was on television. And then when it was over, I would go to sleep. And it was what it was not really that important to me. But you need to keep your powder dry, especially if you're watching NBA stuff, in addition to all of that. As much as I watched Michigan that period in December where they did beat Gonzaga by 40 points when Gonzaga was number 1, and everybody was like, who the hell are these guys? And it was a reasonable enough question because it nobody that was on last year's Michigan team is on this year's Michigan team, basically. Or that it's all, the whole lineup was people that came in through the transfer portal. And the bet that I made on college basketball this year, I have a friend who grew up in Tucson, Arizona, and I've gone out there two of the last 3 winters to watch Arizona play and stay in an Airbnb that has a pool.
Hell yeah.
And it's always a good time. Tucson's a pain in the ass to get to from New York, but it's once you get there, everything costs $4 less than it does here, and the weather's nice. They do crazy hot dogs, a very unusual style of hot dog.
Wait, what's
to me, which is exciting.
What's a
the original Tucson hot dog?
The Sonoran dog, man. You gotta look it up. It's got all kinds of extra stuff on it.
We're talking about crisp scorpions,
it's got crisp scorpion, salsa matcha.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's served inside of an onion. That's not true, but it does have. It's got it. Whatever. It's a fun place to hang out. Yeah, they're good. It's the sort of walking home from the bar food there, which I really like. I was lucky in going to school in California to get to have tacos be that. In New Jersey, it was going to Friendly's and eating ice cream or something. It's come a long way. But so I watched Arizona. They played great. They beat Auburn by 30 points in that game. And that Auburn, like Michigan, or Arizona, like Michigan, was one of those teams that was supposed to be pretty good and then quickly was much better than expected and obviously much better than expected. And so I watched a lot of Arizona games just because they're on late at night and I hate going to bed. And because it was fun to text with my friend about how good they were. And so that was a team I actually came into the tournament with a rooting interest in and a real sort of familiarity with how they play. And I watched enough Michigan to know that was going to be a really hard game. And then Michigan just beat their asses in the Final Four. And I realized that even though I'd watched Michigan 5 times this year, at least, I clearly did not understand the depth and breadth of how good they were. I don't think.
I had the same kind of Arizona whiplash in a smaller scale because I got really into Acuff, who we'll talk about, who's just awesome. And so when the Arkansas Arizona game, I was gearing up for that, and to the same thing. And this is just a common thing that happens in college basketball, where on the TV, all the guys kind of look the same height, and then until they're playing against each other, and it's clear that they're not the same height. And that happened with you get Arizona versus Arkansas. And it was oh, okay, Arizona is just 35 pounds and 3 inches taller at every single position.
All these guys are way stronger, which is that is also the kind of, it's what's fun about college. It's also why you're never gonna know anything about it really. Like I guess like the people that whose job it is to like just watch games all the time. There's probably like a Zach Lowe level savant for college basketball, but that person is also probably a professional gambler.
Right.
Like I don't think it doesn't like the media of it is not sophisticated like that because the teams don't all play each other. And then because of the fact that there's too many fucking guys in it.
Right.
So there really is this situation where like, and this was the case with, with Michigan against Arizona too. It's like, oh, like their tall guy is a little bit taller than Arizona's tall guy, but like not every team has a tall guy.
Yeah.
So you just kind of are like waiting to see what happens when like a guy like Acuff starts like trying to get to the basket against like a 7'2" guy and a power forward who's built like an NFL linebacker.
Right.
My version of this is I was conducting an extensive scout last night on YouTube. And in the Final Four, the camera angle changes because they're playing in a football stadium. So it's a lot closer to the court. And all of a sudden I went from having like very confident Braden Berries and Yax Soprana takes to being like, wait. Which one is this guy?
Yeah.
Yep. Burris is like 6'7", right?
Huge guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Like so when I saw him early in the year at Arizona, he was like the one guy that hadn't like Koa Pete came in and scored like 35 points in his first game and like is just like a big enough dude and a skilled enough player that I was instantly like, all right, well, that guy's a lottery pick. And Burris was like a more famous recruit because he had that kind of like child star thing where like when he was 12, everybody was like, it's the future of basketball. And it's like a child with headgear on. And so when in the game that I watched, he never really did develop like a super reliable 3-point shot. I think mostly because Arizona weirdly hated taking threes. They took like fewer threes than almost any team in D1 this year. And so he was clearly like, you could see just like the quality of his like motions. I was like, all right, well, this guy is like probably like, he's certainly a pro. He's probably better than he looks. But he had that kind of like, he just wasn't in rhythm and seemed kind of like Bambi-ish and like a little bit behind the play a lot of the time. And then like, whatever, a month later, he was like the obvious lottery pick that he is now. But like, I also like, he looked littler to me because he seemed tentative then. And then by the end of the year, he absolutely was not.
Yeah.
He learned how to apply himself.
Yep. It's beautiful. Many people do that in college.
This has always been my take about Summer League, which is that it's like completely useless except for one freeze frame of the rookies in a Summer League game. You just need to see how they physically look next to NBA guys. And then you've like got all and that information is actually like extremely invaluable. But the rest of the basketball,
like what they do is not important, but it's a question of like, do they seem like, are they having to work like super duper hard to get like just a pass to like be open enough to receive a pass? Like that, I think tells you a lot for sure. I remember that was like the moment I don't know if Adam Morrison played in the Summer League, but I remember him like in the early NBA stuff. And I was like, this is too hard for him.
Yeah.
Like, not that he can't make shots or anything like that. It's just like, he has to like absolutely break his ass to get off a screen and catch a pass.
Yeah.
And then everything after that is like, anybody's guess.
Yeah.
What should we talk? I kind of want to like go through just some. I mean, do we have any other big picture March Madness takes? I want to talk about Gabriela Jaquez and
the dance team.
Yes,
yeah, that was great.
Yeah,
because I have a few. I mean, that she just like absolutely fried her way through the tournament, and then also is doing these dances in kind of, and I have a lot of complicated feelings about it. Mostly about the song, which I find the Lil Uzi Vert song to be like completely unlistenable, like one of the worst, like sort of like amelodic songs I've ever heard in my life. It makes me feel insane. But her kind of judo throwing the amelodic dance into kind of increasingly insane videos while also going kind of belt to ass on the entire competition really worked for me. Like by the end, I was like tuning into every dance, like what's going to happen next. And then I think the final one was at least the final one I saw was like after the game, all of the team managers surrounding her and she's just like dancing around and then they like throw confetti on her. And I just thought it was a kind of a tour de force.
Yeah, this is like a dumb thought that I often have about women's basketball, which is like, it just seems like they're having more fun than the boys are. Like, I don't know if it's just like better attitudes or better culture or whatever, but like, and obviously it's like, it's not the sort of thing where like, Yaxel Lindenborg, we live in the society we live in. He's not going to do a dance and then have the managers throw confetti on him. That's just how it is. But the idea of like, anytime you see like a women's team that's like really locked in and having a blast, and like UCLA was like both of the, like they were incredibly good, but then also like, it just seemed like they all kind of enjoy hanging out with each other. There's a part of me that feels it's not jealousy exactly, but there's you want what they have.
Yeah.
They definitely looked like they were having more fun, and I think the sourness of Gino Auriemma sort of stands out more so given that like general climate. Like I feel like the hard ass dictator coach is just like falling more and more out of favor generally. Basically, as like athletes start to get paid, you see like the coach figure is kind of falling off generally, but also this like the sort of like little general who's been there for 4 decades or whatever and just runs things their way. Like that shit just kind of doesn't fly anymore in this like new climate, right?
Right. There's like this what's funny is like Gino is like 72 or 73 years old, but like, so he's older than like a lot of his peers and stuff. But if you look at like on the men's side, there's this whole other like group of like Patino is a different story, but like your John Calipari's, who's like John's a friend.
Yeah.
I don't know why. John Calipari, the coach, is in his 60s, and it's a totally different type of personality where it's like this kind of like positive, like, let me get you to the next level. I want to like make you a bunch of money type thing. And that's like, that to me feels like the template for being an old guy type coach. Right. It's different, I guess, in women's basketball because like until like basically the ink was dry on the new CBA, you couldn't really get rich doing it. But at some point, like even UConn's not going to have a hard time continuing to get talent because it's like the blue chip program in that sport. But if you know that you're good enough to like play at the next level in X number of years, and now you know that you're going to make like $1 million when you do it, like how much like do you want to have that old Italian man power washing you with spittle during like a practice, right? Like you get to make that decision now.
Yeah. And this brings me to my Mike Malone theory.
Yeah.
So Mike Malone, hired by UNC, they paid him a ton of money. This is a guy who like has been an NBA lifer forever, and he's going over to college. And my theory of Mike Malone is basically this: that like now that college basketball is essentially like a pretty well paid like minor league professional sport, the standard of play I feel like is just so much higher than it was like 5 or 8 years ago.
Yeah.
To the point that like you see like Tony Bennett just self-yeeting the second that the transfer portal and NIL stuff came in, because he realized like the game is fundamentally different. And like you have to like be good at coaching. Like that's just going to matter more now. So like someone like Malone coming in, he isn't like this prototypical sort of like recruiter genius guru college guy that would have really excelled like 10 years ago. It's like, he's a really good basketball coach. And when you have like 8 guys making like $5 million or whatever, like you actually do have to be good at coaching now in a way that like you kind of didn't 10 years ago.
And I think also if you think of it like in that context of it being a minor league, like having someone who's a pro style coach, like regardless of like what kind of system he's going to install there or whatever. And like, I wouldn't begin to guess at that, but like the experience of getting like yelled at by a hoarse man telling you to get your gas up, but like also he like understands basketball at that level. Like that's pre-professional training that like you can use. Like UNC, I don't think that Mike Malone's going to necessarily be the guy like texting with some 17-year-old's mom back and forth. Like they have people for that, you know, like his job is to run the team, but like he will run that team in a way that will make the players on it more successful in 1 or 2 years when they're trying to make an NBA team or trying to do something important for an NBA team. And that seems like a real, like valid consideration. Like, I think in general, watching college basketball turn itself into a minor league, like more or less from first principles and in the absence of any like real regulatory authority or like, even like, I guess in general, just because it's all this like this gray market that used to exist for getting players is now like in the light and you can see it working to a certain extent. You don't know how much teams are paying, but you know that they are paying a lot. And every now and then the figures come out and it's like JT Toppin made more money from Texas Tech this year than he would have if he had come out after last year and been the 25th pick of the draft. Like, it was a good decision for him. I mean, he got hurt at the end of the year, and I think imagine he could stay or whatever, but like, it's that level of money. He made like $2.5 million. The thing that like we talked about this a little bit at work about how Lendeborg made his way to Michigan, because this is a guy that was like not recruited, like 3 years at like either like an NAIA school or
UABs for a sec.
And UAB for 1
Not
year.
Belgian somehow.
Yeah.
Not Belgian. Also, like, not from the part of New Jersey that I care about. So, like, good luck, obviously, to him.
Yep.
Yeah, eating Hers potato chips. Come on. Not how we do it. But he, like, so he went to UAB, like, was very good there. And then was like, he was the most sought after guy in the transfer portal. I don't know how much money he got from Michigan, but it's like, the story was that he was offered more. This was a story Ricky O'Donnell wrote at SB Nation, that Lendeborg was offered more to go play at the University of Kentucky, but he went to Michigan in part because this was a guy that, like, you know, I think it took fairly late in the game for him to be like, I actually could play professional basketball and make a lot of money doing it. Like, I could have 10 years in the NBA, even if I'm a 24-year-old rookie, which he would be. So the decision he made in not going to Kentucky and going to Michigan was basically like, given the lineup that they were putting together, the role that he would play in terms of how much of the offense he would be a part of, but then also just like where on the floor he would stand, what he would be asked to do and how much, that he was basically modeling himself as the type of NBA player that he would be for the team that will pick him somewhere between 10 and 20. And I think that's really smart. Like, and making a short-term decision where you're still making $1 million to go play college basketball or however much he made. But looking at that and basically being like, I don't need to be like playing with my back to the basket and taking 20 shots a game. No one's ever going to ask me to do that. But like, if I show that I could be like a, you know, proper stretch four and that I can shoot threes and that I can like be a part of a team concept, like that is a better career choice. It's just like, it's weird that it's happening outside of the remit of whatever pro organization will employ him in a few months.
That so aligns actually with this like dumb guy analysis I had watching Michigan basketball, which was like, I was like, Michigan basketball just kind of looks like a regular college basketball team, but then we just have an NBA small forward on our team.
Yeah.
And that's totally like what it seemed like. That makes sense. Like his role is going to transfer exactly to next year when he plays for the Philadelphia 76ers. Like, it's going to be, which is the team he's going to go to.
Is that what you think that's? I feel like that would be great. Not just because he'd be so near, apparently, to Pennsauken.
Yeah.
But
I just think he's destined to be like, the Sixers are going to draft him. He's going to like not be quite as good as they want him to, and then like people in Philadelphia are going to, you know, find his home address. Like, that just seems like what
But he also seems like he's at that level of like, there's like, and I'm not like an NBA draft, like, I mean, I enjoy watching it, but like half the time, especially in recent years, there's like the guys that go at the top of that draft are these like collections of tools that teams have known about for a really long time. And maybe they become players or maybe they don't, but they're getting drafted in part because they're 18 or 19 years old and they have like these traits. It's like the way baseball teams draft stuff, where you're basically like, you notice that like Anthony Black can do X, Y, and Z. None of those things are attached to each other yet. Like, he wasn't even a very productive college player, but the way he does those three things is so impressive that you're like, if you trust your skills as an organization, you pick him. And maybe you get that right, or maybe you don't. And I think that a guy like Lendeborg, who's like, you know, like this is a compliment, is like basically a finished product. Right. Like, not to say that he couldn't get better or whatever, but like you could plug and play that. Like you said, he's a fucking NBA small forward who happened to play in college this year. But to see like, it's interesting how teams value that, because I think he's going to wind up like a team that has a lottery pick and either misunderstands or misapprehends its ability to develop players or wants to reach for a higher ceiling is going to take somebody that doesn't turn out, and that's going to mean that Lendeborg gets to like an organization that, I mean, the Sixers honestly are, it's like a kind of a good shout there too, because it's like there's a lot of good players on that team. It's not a dumb organization. Right. It's just one of those things where like they're like a little bit too good to be getting like an NBA ready guy at like 18 or 20 in the draft or wherever it is they're going to be picking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And something this sort of brings up something that I really, really like about like draft stuff and prospect watching. I find the like core uncertainty of translation at the heart of it to be like so fun and fascinating, where like this is like an industry where like hundreds and hundreds of people pay close attention to like guys wearing like the Julian Newman neon jerseys, thinking that in 7 years, this could be a decision that like makes us hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever. And it's like, there's so much attention paid, but fundamentally, like what a guy does in college is only so applicable to what they'll do in the pros. And so I just really like this like weighing of uncertainties that has to happen. Like someone like Acuff, it's like, okay, unlimited aura, like plays like Allen Iverson out there. We have to sort of hope that like when he's translated into an NBA medium, that he like understands that when the other team has the ball, you can do stuff to like just stop them from scoring. And it's like that's such a big gulf there. And like the risk of that decision is just like, it's so massive. Like if it pays off, it's going to be, a hit. It's going to be a bestseller. But like, if it doesn't work, it's going to be such a flop. And I just find this like this inability to know until we see the Krinsky application of what does a guy look like in an NBA uniform physically. I just find that to be so fascinating. You can get these like crazy, opinions where I watch Yaxel and I'm like, that guy should be the second pick.
Right.
He should be on the Indiana Pacers right now. And then I watch like 2 seconds of Mikal Brennan Jr. tape and I'm like, that guy should be the second pick.
Yes. And it's funny too, because it's like one of those things where you like all of this stuff is so fucking hard at that level. Also, like the reason that Acuff doesn't play defense is that he never really probably had to play defense. Like he's 19, like, and he's been this good for the whole time that he's been playing basketball. And so you can like, on the merits, like this is not a bad thing necessarily, but you can like rocket through all these developmental levels so fast because of how talented you are that you like never learn how to do really basic basketball things. Like it's another baseball comp, but this is like something that I remember like reading about Juan Soto that blew my mind. So he's got a lot of like really weird idiosyncratic stuff in his game. The most notable of which is that he has a totally different swing and setup with 2 strikes. Like, and they'll tell you like when you're in the minors that like, if that's something you'd ever would have had to worry about if you were like a, absolute like phenom in the way that he was as a youth player. Like you got to change your approach with 2 strikes. Like you have to take a different mindset to the at bat because like it's a different situation. Like the margin for error is gone. The way that he heard that evidently in like rookie ball was like, you need to take a different approach with 2 strikes. He's like, oh, okay. So I'll just do a different stance then and I'll have a different bat path and I'll have an entirely different approach. And because it worked, no one ever told him to knock it off. And now he's in the majors and he has $1 billion and he's doing shit that nobody would ever do, that like nobody would ever tell you to do that. And so the idea of like, and this is where like sort of my heart goes out to these guys as like a member of the UNC community. Like my response to like a Darius Acuff situation is like, I really hope you can learn to play defense against fucking Jamal Murray next year when that's your job to do that. It's like, it's really hard, but like, John Calipari wasn't going to yell at him about it or try to teach him like the fundamentals of that. Like they had basketball games to win and he's only going to get to hang out with the guy for like 5 months.
Yeah. Yeah. And like the tools, the Soto thing really like that brings up an important thing. And I feel like Acuff is actually the right guy to kind of discuss this with, where it's like, you can get so focused on tools. And I think like draft guys, if you read any draft evaluation, they'll start talking about like the hip flexibility and sort of like his posture stack and stuff. And like you watch Acuff and you're like, well, that guy's fucking great at basketball. And like, that's the thing that matters more.
The whole thing about the kind of what you were saying about the like mysticism around drafting, but also mixed with the kind of sheer amount of like money and intellectual rigor going into it reminds me a lot of like how Anthropic is being like, we're going to just pay the preeminent, Southeastern philosopher to read texts in a soundproof room. We're going to pay him $1 million because we don't know.
Captured Robert Thurman and put him in.
We don't know if like one day he's going to need to like whisper to our model. And like, there's a similar dynamic going on where it's like there's a lot of money and esoteric thought and like woo woo going into this stuff. But they still can't quite like get it. Like they still can't quite figure out,
Also, to Patrick's point on that, I think that's totally right. And to Patrick's point, I think the sort of like pseudo scientific, like sort of homebrew physiology aspect of writing about this. I love it in part because it's like, not just because the language is perverse and just so like on the merits, I enjoy a guy who mostly watches basketball games suddenly self-diagnosing someone's hip flexors from like the comfort of their own home. But you can feel like what they're trying to cover up for with that by like sort of stacking this. I mean, pseudoscience isn't completely fair, but they're like trying to like pile this fake rationalism high enough to obscure the fact that nobody understands like why these guys work out and why they don't. Or that like to the extent that they do work out, you don't know what role they're necessarily going to have. And that's part of what is like interesting to me. Not interesting enough that I actually watch G League games very often, although I did watch one last week.
I have Slack transcripts I can read into the record if you want.
Yes, that was one, and it was because the NBA game that was on regular cable was really bad. I did watch the San Diego Clippers against the wherever the
Rip
Lakers
City
minor
remix,
league team.
perhaps?
Yeah. But it was, and that was a fantastic experience. One camera just at center court turning to follow the action. But it was, in that case, like I like seeing these guys that you like sort of remember as like a do-it-all power forward type in college, and they're turning themselves into PJ Tucker in real time because that's the job that they're actually going to have. Right. And there's something weird because it's not exactly like, they're not getting worse, but they are like refining and channeling the shit that they have into the roles that they have. And with a star level guy, like you don't know, like Darius Acuff, like maybe it does work out and he's Damian Lillard and that would be awesome. Or it's like, it doesn't work out. And then it's a question of like, are you like, do you have Bruce Brown's career? Do you have Brandon Jennings's career? Right. Like, or do you have like Johnny Flynn's career? And I don't know what the difference is there. Like, I don't know enough about how that works.
Well, I guess no one does. And like, that's what makes it fun is like, there's an element of like, I guess an element, the whole thing is just future casting. And as a dumbass, this is like an lifelong fan of a team who always picks like 7th. Mm-hmm. It's so fun to develop these like incredibly strong opinions that I will abandon the second any of these guys play the G League game. And I will just like totally change my mind and be like, Ace Bailey's awesome. That guy's going to be a 5-time All-Star. Like, nice. It's really fun.
That's the Kings thing is great because they're never wrong in the same way 2 years in a row. Like they're always wrong, but it's clearly and some of it is a turnover in the front office or whatever. But there's a lot of it where they're sort of like, no, we now we're Scalabissiere guys. Like we throw all our shit out the window. This is our type of dude now.
I heard that you and your band have sold Jimmer Fredette and bought Thomas Robinson. I mean, it is kind of fun too that like, this is sort of like a roundabout Lendeborg point, but like the situation you go to also dictates so much of your career. Like there's a version of like, if Michael Kidd Gilchrist ends up on a real, that's like forever my white whale. If he ends up on a real team instead of the Bobcats, like maybe that guy plays for 15 years. Like the translatability is not just between college and the pros. It really is like a team by team, ecosystem by ecosystem thing, which again makes the process so much more impossible and fun. But like it really does lend me to this almost like mystical understanding of basketball and chemistry as like totally dependent on just the particulars you have in the room. Like that really there's no such thing as translation. That really it's just like, it's this alchemical chemistry thing that can only happen in particular arrangements.
Yeah, it's also again like in that sort of like the sentimental reading of it. It is the sort of like where if you see a guy that you're like, well, that's definitely not going to work in Sacramento or whatever. Like that's Acuff is the guy that we talked about it like this way at work. Like they like him, they're apparently interested in him, and it's like, buddy, that is not. Like if anybody knows what to do with him, it is definitely not them. And that's unfortunate. Like, cause it will impact his career. He'll still make, whatever money he's going to make on his rookie contract. But after 3 years with the Kings, nobody thinks about you quite the same way.
One story on the situation being so important. This is one of my favorite anecdotes I've heard. I have some friends who may or may not have bought weed from Damian Lillard's weed dealer when they were in college. And
wow, what an amazing honor.
The Damian Lillard's weed dealer was adamant that the best basketball player he had ever seen play was Jared Bayless. He was like Jared Bayless is way better than Dame. He's just sick as fuck, but he like wasn't in the right situation, and Dame was, and like that's why Dame is where he is. So
that's obviously wrong, but I love the way in which it's wrong, because it's like you can sort of, if you like squint really hard, you can kind of get there. Like Bayless he was at Arizona for 1 year, and then he was with a bunch of shitty NBA teams, and then like presumably he's like still in the Portugal C League,
knows,
like eating shrimp with garlic every day and living the life. Like that's what I want for him anyway. But like, yeah, it's the thing that we were talking about. Like he was like too good to be developed, and like also like not so good that it was going to work out regardless.
Right.
And so, yeah, like I wrote a bunch of rookie cards for Jared Bayless. I was at Topps. That was like one of the drafts that I like. The way that process worked was like, they would pull together a list of subjects of guys that were going to be drafted, and you needed to be ready to like print the cards right after the draft was done, because like you needed to get them in the sets sometime. So you would just get, or I would get, as I was freelancing at the time, like a list of just like 50 guys in college, some of whom were obviously not going to be picked. And you would have to write in the different styles of the different products. Like I wrote like 4 or 5 rookie cards for Darryl Watkins from Syracuse, who was like a classic Big East, like 6'7" like defensive lineman type power forward guy. And I was like, this motherfucker can't dunk. He's not going to be in the NBA. Like, but I had to write the cards anyhow. Having to do a lot of Jared Bayless ones was sort of like, at some point you just kind of run out of things, because there's not anything interesting to say about a 19-year-old who's been the best guy in every basketball game he's ever played in.
You can't just be like, it's crazy he spells his name like that.
Yeah, right.
His weed dealer has a lot of faith in him.
The sixth, yeah, that would be great if there was like a way to have these like exclusive sources of stuff, like middle school teachers who don't care for his makeup, weed dealers who are in awe of his handle. This is all of these perspectives must be taken into account.
Jared Bayless's weed dealer is a really good segue into talking about some specific guys and sharing our half-baked opinions. But I want to ask if there's like a specific like archetype of prospect you always fall for despite the warning signs. And mine is like wiry 6'10" wing, like the Austin Day, Tyler Honeycutt, like basically like Kevin Durant with a traumatic brain injury.
That's what I was going to say. It's like somebody that you can look at them, like if you only look at like a super cut of their highlights, you're like, that's Kevin Durant.
Yes. And I just want to say that like, I consider it a very strong sign of personal growth that I'm not like a Nate Ament should be the number 1 pick guy, because that is like the archetype of the guy I always fall for. And you watch like him play an Elite 8 game, and you're like, this guy's not on the court. He's not doing shit. He's getting pushed around by 6'3" guys. And so I just want to sort of brag and just say that I'm really trying to change.
I salute you for
growth
that.
is important.
This is part of the process of growing up and being wrong about basketball every single time you have a thought about it. It's recognizing your tendencies and refining your process, not so that you get less wrong, but so that you can, be wrong in different ways.
Facts. Yeah. So who are your what are your archetypes? Like if you are Damian Lillard's weed dealer, who was like the type of player that you're like, that guy's awesome?
So he was already mentioned, and there's not as many of this type of guy anymore, but Thomas Robinson was the guy that I was like, that's it. Like a double in college, like surely this translates. And I don't know that again, this is a guy that was drafted by Sacramento and did not pan out. And he had like other opportunities with other teams. And it was the sort of thing where I never fully became convinced that it couldn't have happened for him. Like certainly it's like a 10-day contract with the Brooklyn Nets. I'm like, all right, well, it's getting a little late. Like we should probably get on with this. But I think it's like strong power forward guys that are able to like push people around in like good conferences. Like, and this was, like Big 12, probably National Player of the Year, like with Kansas. Like he was a great
consensus first team All-American, Big 12 Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But so there was a part of it where I was just like, that's a valuable skill. Like and I think that is, obviously we're going back far enough that the game has changed such that you don't see that, like the version of that in this year's class would be like a Boozer type. And like Boozer does a lot more shit. Like he passes, he dribbles, he shoots threes, whatever. Thomas Robinson didn't really have to do any of that. But at the time, it was like, what if Ben Wallace caught the ball better? You know, like that was something that I could get there with. And then I was sort of like, so the thing that translates there is that like nobody can stop him from dunking when he wants to dunk. And that is wrong, but we've already established that doesn't disqualify any opinions in this space. So that is my faulty archetype of choice.
So you're like a Koa Pete lottery guy.
I think, yes, I do. Well, I guess he's like Burries is the lottery guy and Pete's mid first round. Is that the projection?
That's what they say.
People have now. I think Pete is very much more complete as a player. Like he's not as good as Lendeborg, but it's the sort of thing where, from having watched him a lot this year, like likes to pass and passes well, and then also is capable of doing some of the like the Thomas Robinson shit of like getting to the basket and dunking. That said, doing the Thomas Robinson shit, we've already established what that's worth. Like I don't need to keep underlining it. But like he played very well in a unique concept there, and I think like that suggests to me that he'll be a good NBA player.
The two that come to mind, one is a kind of mid first round guy that I'm always wrong about, which is the really good guy on an SEC team. I'm talking Dalton Connect. I was like, steal. Sindarius Thornwell. I was like, the bucket. Admiral
May I interrupt
Schofield.
you briefly on this?
Sure.
The G League game that I watched, which, cards on the table, I did watch it. I feel like at this point, this is a place of honesty. Dalton Connect was getting cooked on defense in this game, like to the point where the announcers were basically like, they weren't like, you got to get him out of there, but they were like, they're really going at Connect. And it was like, the people that were going at him were guys that I like faintly remembered as like sub Sindarius Thornwell level college players. And they were just like too small to him. Like it was really, Anyway, go on. So you were saying Admiral Schofield. Continue.
I just like, there's something about being the go-to scorer on like an SEC team that went like 23-17 that I'm like, dude, yes, this guy, it's going to translate. Look at his muscles. Like that's it. That one is really doing it for me. And then the smooth, any shooting guard that is described as smooth in college basketball, I'm in. Like
that's my original sin there. Like too old for you guys, but like Randolph Childress, like just like pull up three dudes in the 90s. They didn't make those very much. And so when you saw one, you'd be like, that is the best fucking basketball player I've ever seen. Like I want to do that.
Yeah. I think of Jordan Hawkins in the NBA right now. I'm like, I still have Jordan Hawkins hope. The current shadow GM of the Sacramento Kings, Jeremy Lamb, was a big.
I love Jeremy Lamb.
Yeah, those are the ones that I'm like, those are my consistently wrong priors.
Another type of guy that, and as someone who's currently being tortured by Killian Hayes, I should cop to this. I really like French guy, love a French guy, but B, like I like a guy who's good at passing and like literally nothing else. Like the worse you are at other stuff, the like fewer capabilities you have, the worse of an athlete you are, the more I'm going to like you if you're like a goated passer.
That's a sort of guy too that teams don't seem to like have that anymore. Like I remember another guy I wrote many rookie cards for was Ramon Sessions. And it was like, he was like ostentatiously bad at every other aspect of the game. Like it was like he never had tried to get good at it. It's like he just poured his whole being into like entry passes and like seeing people in like fast break scenarios. And he was really good at it. It was just, we lost Harry for a moment.
Into the hands of Pekovic denied. Another crack at it. Martin wide open. Triple. Hits it.
Roth's point about Ramon Sessions was too powerful.
Yeah, it disrupted. You needed to, I actually was on the phone with the CEO of Apple, and they've turned on the most powerful servers now, so you should be able to receive all my.
They're throttling, we've activated some backup data servers. Well, okay. Should we get into like the people we were interested in from this draft? Any kind of ambient takes we have yet to get off?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Sure.
Do you want to start somewhere?
Yeah, sure. So why don't I run through a few and you can tell me to see if these are resonating. First, I want to point out that I think the Michigan coach Dusty May has RFF, which I have described, which I have coined a resting Fargo face. He really is like, seems like he belongs in the cinematic universe of Fargo.
This is like a William H. Macy with Wi-Fi scenario. All right.
He like reminds me of basically.
Cheese.
Yeah, exactly. So that's neutral. I've already outlined my Darren Peterson hoops like Kid Cudi music sounds.
An incredible thought. Like really
powerful.
I keep turning it over and over in my mind.
My note about Cam Boozer is I think he shouldn't have a beard. I think if I were his draft agent, I would tell him clean shaved the whole time because he is like 19, but he looks kind of like he could be like 22. And I think that's hurting his draft stock in a small way. If he was
like,
like,
you're going to say to like separate his brand from his father's.
That is also part of it. No, I just think like he looks too old. He looks like he's 21. He needs to look like
Interesting.
He's 19, which is basically.
Is this a twin thing? Do you think there's like, is he trying to differentiate himself stylistically from his twin?
They could have tried harder because they have the same haircut.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, type shit.
Yeah,
but I also think, I think as somebody who also learned to grow a beard at 21, I was keen to, like whenever I learned to grow a beard, I was really like, nobody was going to shave that off me, you know? So I see where he's going.
I've waited my whole life for this moment.
Yeah.
The Cam Boozer, I watch him sometimes and I'm like, this guy is like a tiny man who kind of can't do the superstar stuff that you want him to do. And then I watch for 5 more minutes and then I think like, is this like, have we found this world's smallest iteration of Nikola Jokic? Like this guy's an amazing passer. He has like really good hands. I think if you had the number 2 pick, who would you take? Because I feel like are we all Demansa one?
Yeah, I mean that's
guys?
the most obvious of the big prospect dudes. Like he's the one that looked the most like an NBA player when you watched him in college games.
Yeah,
because he's fucking big and he
huge.
and he had that thing that like, which is another sort of like distinguishing marker where it was like he finished everything and he often finished like with a dunk or whatever. You're just like, this guy's just much like no one at this level can guard him. So that's my number 1 easily. But would I take Boozer? What about you, Harry?
Yeah, it's Boozer or Peterson is sort of the question I'm getting at.
Peterson's my number 1 still. I know.
I can tell.
Really?
I love that little loner freak, dude. I love him.
I'm really looking forward to like learning more about his mysterious full body malaise this year that was like afflicted him. Because there's that type of guy, the dude that like comes in like obviously like talked about as a number 1 pick and then just like kind of either doesn't play or plays weird, like Kyrie's college career or whatever. Like in some ways it's a red flag because you're just sort of like, this movie is like too weird to be on a college basketball court. But it could also go any number of ways. Like you could have Kyrie's career, like where, you know, you could somehow you're too weird for college, but not too weird to play in the NBA. And
except for Peterson, 2 years in the 2020s.
Yes.
Where you were too weird to play.
Unless there's like, if there's like a national scale, international scale medical emergency, you will become too weird to play. But yes, once the approach to that changes, you're in business again.
This gets back to my previous point about translation. It's like, usually you're wondering like, okay, can this guy like get separation running around a curl screen? But it can also just be like, is this guy too weird?
Yeah. And I think there is like, that's like the Michael Porter Jr. thing where it's like the bar for too weird, because that guy was supposed to be the first pick of that draft. And then like instantly had the back of a 50-year-old man or like some sort of like weird like physical breakdown that pushed him down there. But I think like his issue as an NBA player beyond his health is like what kind of dude is this? What are like as a workplace companion, like is this somebody that you can win with? And like obviously the answer is yes, despite his podcast diet and personality and general affect. Peterson, like I think that I want to believe that there's like still something to be unlocked there. The way that he played down the stretch, which was most of when I watched him. Kansas did beat Arizona in a game I watched. Peterson didn't play in it. It was one of the games that he had his kind of like I'm out with a body today, and like would just be like on the shelf. When I watched him down the stretch, it's like this is the way that the weirdness manifests. Like from one moment to the next, that is obviously your number. Like if not your number one, you're 1A. Like he's an NBA quality shooting guard, and he can he really, really can shoot. He can get his shot if he has to. He didn't do any other things. And I think that's like, I know that he could theoretically, like, I don't think this is the situation where it's like, he was so good that no one ever asked him to like pass the ball or whatever. Like, I don't know if he can play defense. I don't know if anyone's ever asked, but the version of himself that he was at the end of the year was like sub Jerry Stackhouse NBA shit. Like I will take 20 points a game. I'll take 20 shots a game. I will get 1 rebound. I will have 1 assist and 4 turnovers. And but for the most part, like, I'm just going to stand there. Like, if you can get me the ball, I'll do something, but I'm not going to run off a screen. Like, it's not like something that I need to do. And so I have honestly have no idea what he would do, because like, that's not a thing that any basketball player does. Like, it's certainly not in the NBA.
In one very obvious way, this is like the world's worst idea. But in other ways, it's incredibly fascinating. And so I have to bring it up.
I'm listening.
Darren Peterson with the number 1 pick in the 2026 NBA draft. The Utah Jazz select Darren Peterson. Just imagine this. You have Ace Bailey, who like maybe wasn't going to sign there, but then has been like all dog this season and awesome. And you have Triple J, Lauri Markkanen, Keontae George. And then all of a sudden you have like Kobe Bryant, coming off like as the shooting guard. I think that team, other than like the name on the front of the jersey, could be incredible.
Yeah. The Jazz are kind of fun in that way, where it's like obviously much more so than the Wizards, but these teams that like tanking teams that also like socked in some talent for next year. And so they're like, yeah, we're going to be picking 3rd. But like when we come back with our whole roster intact, like it's actually, you're going to be sort of startled by how good it was. I think that would be useful for Peterson, because it's like, he's kind of the 4th option on that. Like when, like if all of those guys are there, like, which if he is so neurotic that he can't quite be as good as he needs to be as a, pro, like you can still like flourish there. Like it's not the sort of thing where you drafted like Harrison Barnes and expected him to like lead your offense. Like if you drafted a guy that could be Kobe Bryant and you're only asking him to be Harrison Barnes like level in terms of like his usage or whatever, then maybe that works. It is weird to be like wish casting about the fucking Utah Jazz or the Pacers or whatever. Just being like, I could really see it from here. Like,
I think there's an element of reverse wish casting where I just know if that guy ends up in Sacramento, there's going to be a documentary in 10 years about him.
Who are the guys that you fear the most for them, not as a Kings fan, like the guys that would be most damaged by the Sacramento experience?
That's a really good question. And this is certainly a lens I'm using when I'm like, I did my big scout last night, by which I mean I watched enough YouTube video to be convinced that a guy is awesome. And then I'm like, okay, Kingston Flemings, I've seen enough. You're awesome.
Banging the gavel.
Go run around, little guy. Do what you got to do. Flemings, actually, I don't worry about. It's Acuff for sure. Ament, but for obvious reasons. Yep. Peterson, I don't worry. Boozer is the guy I worry the least about in that spot. But then you get into there's this like Burries is maybe the best of these guys, where there's like a group of guys who sort of project as like the Steph Curry of Josh Hart's, and as the game is sort of democratized and 5 out, spread out, like this sort of class of like 2/1/3, like wing size ball handler guys who just know how to like, all the buzzy words like processor, facilitator, quick decision, like those kind of guys. I worry about that genre of guy. Like the Kings are just so A, stupid, and like B, like devoid of talent, that I want them to get someone who they think can be like the best player on the team. Yeah. Because, all those other guys are just going to flourish more the better the players are around them. So that's my thought.
Yeah, I think that makes sense in terms of like the type of player that basically like needs to be in a system that could use them intelligently, and like, and if winds up in that system, could be like a real, like a star level guy. It's this is the bit with the Kings have drafted as if they're a smart team with a centerpiece star for a long time, and they're not. And so like, I feel like, you've watched more Keegan Murray than me, but that was my sense of Keegan Murray as a college player. It was like, this is a guy who could have a really good NBA career. He is not having a really good NBA career, and it's like, he needs some other people to play off. He needs like a role that makes sense.
Yeah, he might never be as good as his rookie season because he was like the 5th option
on a team that was good.
Like, supposed to stand there. Yeah, exactly. This is a guy we don't have on the run of show, but who I did conduct an 8-minute and 32-second scout on yesterday, Caleb Wilson. This guy is awesome.
Yeah. UNC was a black hole this year. And I don't think that I really, like, I don't think that I've watched more than 8 minutes and 43 seconds or whatever of him this year. What did you like? I mean, I just like, obviously was like a guy that if you could go to the NBA out of high school, it would have been picked 10th last year or whatever.
Yeah.
But
his interior canine levels are like off the charts.
Nice.
This is maybe not what you want out of a guy who's going to be picked probably 4th, but like every loose ball, every like 50-50 rebound, every like closeout and stuff, he's just throwing his whole ass into it. Like, and he's a huge athlete. Like he kind of looks like, it's like if Jaren Jackson Jr. like knew how to move his feet a little better and didn't have that like funky movement style, and I guess was kind of less skilled on offense. That's like who I see here. He's kind of like a different version of Evan Mobley. I don't want to say better, but like he's a culture setter kind of guy. I don't worry about him in Sacramento because he would run around and do stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, but just dude, it's 9 p.m. You're in Sacramento. You're Darren Peterson. You're the number 1 pick. You've been drafted to the Kings. They call you and Vivek calls you personally. He's like, we have fired the coach. You whatever. You keep driving. You're playing Xavier So based. He calls you back. He's like, we've fired the next coach. Yeah. He's not concerned. Darren Peterson is just like, he's just like, I'm doing my thing.
Damn, that's crazy. Yeah. He's saying that to the owner.
He's like, when's practice?
He's like, I'm just out here in Natomas. Like, I'm chilling. The In-N-Out Burger's still open, man. Not a problem for me.
I think Darren Peterson has this sort of like post-horseshoe theory ability to like lead a team by not leading them at all. Basically. Yeah.
Is this a LaMelo trait? Is that what you're kind of describing, where you're just basically like, he's the least responsible guy on the team and everybody looks up to him because he's like a completely enlightened being?
Well, I have heard a little scuttlebutt about, because the funny thing about LaMelo is that he's obviously insane, but every NBA player loves him. Like people, like the teammates love him, whatever. And you kind of heard the same thing out of Peterson. Like a lot of people, other than Self, who like is bumping on him, or like they've had that kind of weird stuff. Like you haven't heard any. Everybody, like who purports to be an insider is like, he's great, works hard. People like him. That's why the loner comment was so unsettling. But it is so maybe basically like, he might be that kind of just like genuinely uninterested with doing the kind of performance of NBA stardom. Which, whatever, that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, if it works, it works. And like, I think we were talking a little bit at work yesterday about like the sort of struggle to understand LaMelo as like a type of guy or like a sort of a type of player or whatever, because nobody in the league is more opaque to me than him. Like, I just don't, he just does stuff that's weird to me, like driving his car really fast into like through red lights, and like the thing that he did, which we talked, he did it again last night, where sometimes he just screams really loud on the court to get somebody's attention, but not in a way where he's like, hey, over here. He's just like, ah, like a startled animal.
To use a House of Highlights parlance, an ethnic sound.
That was.
It's like he has this weird affect, but then you watch him and he's like, he can throw a technically perfect lob pass. Like this guy has this like savant like understanding of like angles and a pick and roll and stuff. Like it's also, just like
like
It's so
Burry's,
cool that-
it's like secretly 6'8" with like a 7-foot wingspan or some shit. So he's
Yes.
like, there's nothing he can't do. Like physically, there isn't like a basketball task that his body is not suited for.
No,
The
it's-
idea of types of guys that NBA players like is really fun because it pretty much maps onto like the preferences of Ball Don't Stop.
Mhm.
Where
Yeah.
like you can just tell that like NBA guys who've paid like 10% attention to March Madness are like, get me Darius Acuff. I want to play with that guy. Like that
Yeah.
guy's going to be the best player in the draft.
Well, the one place it's not quite Ball Don't Stop is there's because I do think like, not that you're necessarily saying this, which is like obvious. I mean, maybe this is obvious, but like the players in the NBA know the most about NBA basketball, and I do think there are these kind of seems fun to play with skills that are really important, and A Cup definitely has this, and LaMelo definitely has this, which is like gets off the ball really quickly. Like that creates a flow when you are an NBA basketball player that seems more fun to play with than like Luka or I mean Peterson is a funny one because like the ball is sticky, but he also can play off the ball, which is nice.
Yeah.
You like people who, so I don't know. I it's like Ball Don't Stop core mixed with fun to play with or like dynamic to play with.
Yeah, but I think there's like an appreciation for like that virtuosity that is like, that's the Ball Don't Stop aspect of it. Is
Yes.
basically like, I think it's why like Kyrie is like maybe held in higher esteem by NBA players and by NBA fans. It's like they just sort of know that he can do everything.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, that there's, it's like whatever it is that he's doing or thinking while he's doing it would necessarily be of less importance to them than it would be to me, who's consuming him primarily as like a character in a TV show I watch all winter. Like, which is, it makes sense.
I have to bring up, this is another guy not on the run sheet. And I mentioned him already, but Kingston Flemings. Have you guys watched this guy, the Houston point guard?
Yeah, he's cool. I like him.
I was like, okay, what's the deal with this guy? Haven't spent any time with him. And I turned on his highlights, and within 15 seconds, I made the same noise I did when I saw Roger Federer's backhand for the first time. I was like, what is that? Because he looks like De'Aaron Fox. Like he's just so fast, so springy. And I guess because of Fox, like I love a fast guy. And he's this year's point guard who's just like gonna zip by everyone. And I think that's cool. And also like Houston's basically an NBA team. Yeah. And he was like, took control of that team instantly, which I think is like, that's a really good sign.
Yeah. That's like in terms of like indexing for like, what is the experience of the 1 year in college that this obvious like prodigy has. Like that's the sort of thing where it's like you kind of have to do everything at Houston. Like every player has to do everything. Like you do have to defend. And like you said, it's like a bunch of guys that have like played in that system for a long time. A coach who really knows what he's doing. The De'Aaron Fox comp I like because they don't look similar. Flemings has got like the long like the locks and stuff, and like so it's just also doesn't always play on the ball, but is like that as a speed aficionado, like I think I do like agree that is like maybe almost an undervalued skill there, that it is like, because there's the things that every body that's going to play in the NBA can do, and those are the like practicable things, and like, or just sort of inborn sort of things. Being like notably faster than the other elite like super athlete type dudes that you're matching up with is like, it's a weird sort of edge. It's like a value neutral one. Like Johnny Flynn was faster than a lot of people too. He just couldn't do a lot of other stuff. But like I think that's kind of like key to like Fox, or like the good Russell Westbrook version is just basically like speeding up, and then especially like for Westbrook, but I think also for Fox now too, like stopping really well. Like, so just like that command of like velocity is like, it's one of the cooler skills, but I do think it's kind of a unique one too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can we talk a little bit about what the hell is going on in Illinois? Why do they have all these Slavic guys?
Okay, so I can
good.
tell you, in 1991, Yugoslavia, which was a country, ceased to exist. Something happened. No.
Wait,
the coach gave it.
Just one more thing on that while we're doing jokes about that. College basketball being de-Balkanized. Guess Illinois didn't get the memo. All right, keep going.
I'm pretty sure the coach gave an interview where he was like, Yeah, I looked at like Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic dominating the NBA, and I thought, let's get some of those guys over here, which like facts.
Control F, like IC space on like just a list of college basketball players to try to see. It is
I like that he got
amazing,
Stojakovic too, because he's like didn't understand that he went to Jesuit high school in Carmichael, California.
Yeah,
I thought he was an authentic European guy too. That was a fun twist.
it was. That roster is amazing. Like just as a text, it is rich in that it's like, because that is another team where they like, not to the extent that Michigan did, but where they basically had to like rebuild the roster more or less from scratch because guys left. So it's all transfer portal guys. But at some point it feels like the news got into like the like Slovakian basketball player group chat, and they were like, yo, have you been to Champaign-Urbana though? It's like not that bad.
Yeah.
And so there's like 4 dudes who are, including 2 brothers on that roster, which is whatever. I love it. Like this is like kind of what's fun about college basketball and like watching them figure this shit out is that like they're all trying to do, you know, human resource arbitrage with this like pool of basketball talent. But in the absence of like any real rules or understanding of how it works, at some point you could just do the like oops all Slovakians thing and see if it works.
That's so funny. Like I'm imagining a future in 15 years where it's like, yeah, everyone knows like Louisville is like known as Little Morocco because they just started studying like the Gibraltar area really hard in like 2028.
Yeah, I'm excited for Randy Bennett, who was the St. Mary's coach going to Arizona State. Like,
oh yeah,
St. Mary's is now like pretty much a normal basketball program, but he made them like a real, like sort of a mid-major power just by being like the guy that had been to Australia.
Right.
Like, and it worked. It worked incredibly well for like 15 years, but the team would always be like a couple of dudes from Oakland and then just like a bunch of guys named Jock with the craziest haircuts you've ever seen that were like clearly from Perth or whatever, that he had just like was continuing to move that pipeline through. And I'm assuming he's going to do the same thing with Arizona State. Like, you know, the idea of having, but like, this is how it all works. You find some little angle that works that other people aren't working. And then like at smaller schools, these can be smaller and smaller angles. I remember like the LIU teams I used to love to watch like 10, 15 years ago. They got really good and dominated the super low major conference they were in because the coach recruited San Antonio, Texas, which I guess nobody else did. He got like 2 guys that played high school there. They were both really good for that conference level and like had pro careers abroad and stuff. But yeah, the at the higher levels, when you're dealing with a University of Illinois program, you need to be thinking at the former Soviet Republic level.
I like the idea of it trickling into the draft analysis where you've got like, you know, draft Twitter people being like, their Slav quant is crazy. Their Baltic motion is.
And like,
it's esoteric scientific, like ethnicized racism basketball analysis.
Yeah.
It's not that far from where we are right now culturally. Like,
Right.
45 minutes after the broadcast ends, they're like, okay, welcome back to ESPN. Today we are debating the Magyar question. Is Hungary part of the Balkans? Okay, so Stojakovic, I have to say, like, this guy is awesome.
Mhm.
I love that he can't shoot. I love that he's like kind of a bad athlete.
funny little Easter egg for the real heads. Like,
Yes.
you think he's going to be good at this, right? Like,
Yeah, right. One would think. Yeah.
yeah.
It's like he is beloved by the ball don't stop guys because the one thing he can do is cool moves.
Yeah.
Like he kind of has Jabari Smith Jr. disease where every bucket he scores is like the hardest, most impressive
Yeah.
bucket ever because he kind of can't do anything easy. But it's like that guy's awesome. I'm so in.
Total. And in the big Final Four game, when their offense slowed, like the only thing that was working was Stojakovic basically bullying his way to the rim and putting something up. So there's who knows.
Yeah, that kind of is like, it disproves the point. Well, it doesn't disprove, but it complicates the point that I had earlier about like how it can be worrying when a guy has to work really hard to get baskets at the college level. But like certainly in that UConn game, it's like, of course you had to work hard. It's like a really good defense with fucking huge guys on it. You know, like it's not going to be, but if him scoring repeatedly at the rim when like Tyrus Reed Jr. is around is like, yeah, it's cool. Like, I don't know what the NBA fit is necessarily, but it's like, it seems like as like carrying tools, they call them in baseball, go like the ability to like physically outwork a defender and get a basket seems like a useful enough skill at that level.
Yeah, it's kind of like, what if Kyle Anderson was bad? Is like who I'm imagining.
Well, the only other thing I wanted to say about the Stojakovic thing is it's I am noting, Roth, you're a little older than us, so you've probably already had this experience, but a pretty good to not that good NBA player's son being in the league, it's doing stuff to me. Like I was like, the idea of like Al Harrington's kid entering the league.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I would pick him number one overall.
So this is how old I actually am at this point. Like Kenyon Martin Jr.'s NBA career is done. Like that's happened already. And like Kenyon Martin Sr. was like a formative, like when I was like 22 years old and I would be going to my job like an hour and 15 minutes late, I would jump up and like grab the girders at the subway station and like pretend to be dunking. I was pretending to be Kenyon Martin. And so like when you get to the stage where like his kid is like considering going back to school or like playing in China and scoring 51 points a game, like it's tough. Is Al Harrington's kid actually a prospect? That is like, I'm not ready for that shit.
Or I mean, not that I does. It was just the first guy I thought of.
Wow. Yeah. We're really scouting Richard Jameson, Antoine Jameson's son.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Tim
cool.
Thomas the third.
I mean, I do like that Dylan Harper and is like a good player, and then Ron Harper is just like a guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's fun that we have that.
I like Ron Harper Jr. was like, that was a guy where I was sort of like, he plays like his dad did after his dad's lower body stopped working. And like, he's still a good player, but it was just like a guy who like got a lot of like points and made a difference by mostly being kind of mean. And Dylan Harper, I guess there was a version of like Ron Harper Sr. that I did not get to see, where he was like, if you look at his like basketball reference page, he's like scored like 25 points a game for the Cavs for like a few years.
Yeah, he was awesome.
And then got hurt. And like, but I'm assuming like Dylan is bigger than either of, like just his like torso is broader than either of those. But like that is maybe he's like the Ron Harper I never got to watch.
Yeah, that's like, that is kind of, I like when guys are similar to their parents, but I also like when they're really different. Like Scottie Pippen Jr. is just like totally unrecognizable from Scottie Pippen regular.
Yeah. Or Gary Payton the second or whatever, having like the only trait that he has in common with his dad is that like he kind of has like some crazy eye Oakland energy stuff going on, but like otherwise is not remotely similar. Different roles, different personality.
He like can't do anything besides run around, and like he knows where to stand in relation to Steph, but that just happens to be like extremely important.
Yeah, that is like the important role that he fills.
A $10 million job. Yeah. All right. Any final kind of thoughts before we get out of here?
I don't have anything special necessarily. I do. I guess the one bit that I would ask about in terms of like people that are 98% NBA diet. Did you enjoy watching the college basketball that you watched?
Yes, 100%. I mean, it gets closer and closer to NBA style and quality every year. Like. Mm-hmm. I mean, I remember like I watched a lot of the Robbie Hummel, Evan Turner Big Ten for some reason when I was in high school. And that shit was like Finnish compared to the NBA's English. This year, it's like, it's so much closer. I had a really good time. I mean, I love watching 5 minutes of a game and being like, Keaton Wagler is the best player I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. That's the fun of it. That's like how I prepare myself every year to like do my stupid wrong ass bracket is like watching little bits of conference tournaments, developing incredibly deeply held opinions that are grounded in nothing at all, and then proceeding accordingly.
Yeah, I agree. It's fun, and I also I really liked the there's still a kind of styles make fights element to college basketball where it is still in this realm where it hasn't been the kind of regional flair. Hasn't been professionalized out. Like UConn still runs this really, really strange offense. Like the versus Arkansas they had a kind of specific run and gun style that wasn't unique to Arkansas, but like Arkansas the place, but was unique to Calipari or whatever. So I very much enjoyed it.
And as sort of a man without a country Pac-12 style, I do really like getting to root for like Arizona and Oregon and even Colorado. Get your ass in here. Like just kind of having this like pan Pac-12 appreciation thing other than USC and Stanford.
Yeah.
So.
Like it's like the way that you would feel if you like cheered for a college team and then all their guys were on different NBA teams. Like they've dispersed, but now like they belong to everyone.
That was my
UCLA Big Ten experience is now available nationwide.
The good side of my kind of completely wanting smoothness over anything else is I was proven correct and so sure that Peyton DeSilva was going to be a good NBA basketball player. Or wait, no, what's the DeSilva on the Magic?
Oh, Tristan DeSilva.
Wait,
is it Tristan? No, wait, the guy that's on the Magic.
Yeah, what's his name?
The Brazilian guy, Tristan DeSilva.
Tristan DeSilva.
Yeah,
sorry,
he's like fine.
No. I'm sorry. What I meant is that I knew he was going to be good, and he was good. Peyton DeSilva is the guy who
Peyton DeSilva, the Louisville guy.
The Louisville guy, yeah.
They don't make those guys anymore. They
No.
need more like super bossy 6'1" Dominican guys playing point guard in college basketball.
They don't.
Look what they took from us.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you so much for joining us. This is really fun.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
And defector.com, the distraction, you know what it is.
Yeah.
Big NBA preview coming up, playoff preview.
Oh, yeah.
Next week.
Oh yeah, we're gonna.
Big facts.
You guys are gonna. Who are you gonna have on for that? Do you know?
As many people as possible.
Super nice.
Yeah.